Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel and we're going to be looking at Championship goalkeepers today and who we might just think the best one is. We've been enjoying a few opinion videos on the channel this week. We've looked at which Championship club has the best strikers. Go and check that video out. We have looked at which Championship club has the best centre back. So we are going through the old school proverbial spine of the team. We're going to look at the goalkeepers. And as ever, here is my criteria for how I'm going to judge who the best keepers are. And here is the plan. So we're going to look at each keeper club by club. We'll go all the way through alphabetically, so we're not favouring anybody. We're going to judge on quality. So what have they done in their career? Are they proven? We're going to judge on potential. Is it maybe a youngster who could go on to have his best years ahead of him? And the transfer value. Believe me, they are three entirely different things when you actually look at it. I would love you to rate your keeper out of 10. And if you had to, who would you swap with? Notice the words there, if you had to, for the person that tells me they wouldn't ever swap any of their players for any other player in the history of the universe and football ever. If you had to, though, you have to. I've got a couple of theories on this. Don't shoot me down here, but give me your thoughts on these theories, actually. Fans don't understand keepers, and therefore their views on their own keeper are often extreme. I believe that football fans, and I am one of them, don't really know quite how to analyse goalkeepers because of 11 players on your team. There's only ever one goalkeeper. We don't see them in action very often, and their skill set is entirely different than any other player on the pitch, even to the point where there are no similarities. So I think we struggle to actually analyse goalkeepers, me included, and therefore we do get some very, very, let's just say, warped perceptions. Probably, if I asked Championship teams, Premier League teams, whichever league, which goalkeeper is the best in the division, I would estimate something like 2/3 of fans would say that the keeper of their club is the best in the division. I think people either grossly praise or grossly criticise goalkeepers. We know what it's like. One mistake and they're the worst thing ever. But because of our kind of limited information we actually have on them, when we do like them, I think we might just tend to over-egg the pudding a little bit because we struggle to actually compare and don't see that many goalkeepers doing that much stuff. Do you get my drift? So be open-minded. I'm expecting someone with a Middlesbrough badge to tell me the Middlesbrough keeper's the best in the league. I'm expecting someone with a Bristol City badge as their avatar to tell me Bristol City keeper's the best in the league. And this isn't just a simple football bias thing. This is something I've noticed over years and years with goalkeepers. Anyway, enough of a ramble from me. Let's have a look through. Barnsley, there is Brad Collins and Jack Walton. Barnsley fans, tell me which one's actually better. I've had a little look through this season and they seem to have played not a dissimilar amount of games. So I was under the impression Walton was better, but Struber in the final days there as manager of Barnsley was seeming to try one and then try the other. But I think Walton's got a good future ahead of him, but I don't think it ever benefited any goalkeeper to be rotated with another one. They need to be playing all the games. Birmingham, someone who's likely to be playing all the games for Birmingham is Neil Etheridge, who we thought was a very decent goalkeeper, but Smithy's played him out of the team over at Cardiff. He's come in with Karanka. Karanka and any defensive player or goalkeeper is a good match because he will hide the weaknesses of any defensive player and play a system that accentuates them being able to defend and keep clean sheets. So expect Smithies to get quite good numbers this season, I would have thought, and don't expect Prieto to get too much of a look in. Blackburn, this is interesting actually, the way Blackburn have stocked. Kaminski, you will have noticed, was on the bench for Belgium the other night, and they've paid a fee for Antonis, pronunciation, Sturgiakis. So they've gone for a couple of Europeans. I think sometimes there's a bargain to be had going towards a lesser known, quote, European nation, like Belgium are world number one, but the Belgian league where you might find these guys. Did he even play in the Belgian league? Now I can't even remember. But you take my point, a sort of lesser fished in pond. So I think that could be an interesting one for Blackburn there. Obviously, we don't have a big sample size on Kaminski, so I'll plead the fifth a little bit, but could be interesting, that pair there. Bournemouth, well, Mark Travers started the season, didn't he, and made a mistake early on in the game. It was against Blackburn, wasn't it, in the first day of the season. But Asmir Begovic obviously has got a lot of quality going back a lot of years. He's one of several safe pair of hands goalkeepers in the Championship that are high quality, getting on in years, so maybe not going to be in that top level Premier League bracket anymore, but certainly good, experienced goalkeepers. Brentford, interesting, because Luke Daniels started the season. I guess this was a David Raya contract issue, although Raya seems to have been wearing the captain's armband the last couple of times I've seen him. Very good goalkeeper, David Raya. Obviously was at Blackburn and then through to Brentford. Modern goalkeeper, uses his feet. Good, obviously between the sticks, actually doing the saving business with his hands as well. And there was links with Arsenal in and around that. Martinez, Arsenal to Villa. Raya linked with Villa, linked with Arsenal. So, yeah, when we come to high-valued players, maybe Raya, possibly one of them. Bristol City, this is all a bit incestuous, isn't it? Because Raya replaced Bentley at Brentford, who then went to Bristol City. You will have seen pictures of Dan Bentley making a brilliant save at Forest. I think he was kind of half what Brentford wanted to do, but couldn't quite do it as well as Raya in terms of the playing out. But in terms of the actual goalkeeping, very, very decent and good command of the box as well. And again, decent age and probably one of our higher valued, and especially with the old English tax as well on that. I think he could be coming into the good days of his career, Dan Bentley. Alex Smithies, well, he's what you'd call just a good Championship hand. He's been at QPR, hadn't he? Huddersfield as well. And then Cardiff. I didn't expect him to play Etheridge out of the team last season, but he did, and he took the shirt. So maybe destined never to play again at the top level. Who knows? But certainly a decent Championship hand is Alex Smithies. Marko Morosi is new to the Championship, Slovakian goalkeeper. Played a few games thus far. I've seen him a couple of times. Not seen a lot to say he's a great keeper or a lot to say he's a poor keeper. So if I can plead the fifth a little bit on Morosi, Coventry fans, get your comments in. And we will judge maybe later during the season, I think, there. David Marshall, well, he's excellent. He's been around for years and years, and I suppose my opinion's coloured heavily that I've just seen him play a blinder in the flesh last week over at Norwich. He was at Wigan. Where's he been? Hull. He's been at Norwich before, hasn't he? Cardiff. God, he seems to have been around for years and years, but definitely falls into the category of, best years behind him, but probably won't let you down if you play him in 40 Championship games in a season. Huddersfield, well, a bit of a question on Ben Hamer, isn't there? Because, he had that loan spell at Derby last season and a few mistakes and a few questioning comments from the Derby fans. Again, I will go back to my general theory that fans either overpraise or over-criticise goalkeepers. Hamer certainly got the criticism, so maybe that's ringing in my ears and he needs to win that back over this season. Speaking of criticism, well, Simon Sluga came into Luton for, I think, a club record fee and ended up actually having to go out of the team. But he's really fought well, and I like the way Luton have played this, actually, because they haven't just discarded him for a few bad games. They haven't killed his confidence. Obviously, Shea did come in for a time, but Sluga is, I think, back and the number one there, and I haven't seen any of the mistakes that were happening earlier in his tenure. So hopefully that's a signing that they've seen out that's going to be valuable for them in the future. Borough, I've put all three up there. Bettinelli, Stojanovic and Pears. I'm pretty sure I've seen all three of them maybe the last 4 or 5 times I've seen Borough play. I've definitely had a little look at each of them. Bettinelli seems to be the guy. I didn't realise he's still only 28, so Warnock fancied him there. Just a little bit of a sense that he sort of fell on his sword last season, didn't he, Bettinelli? Playing for Parker's Fulham. Couldn't do what Parker was asking him to do in terms of playing out the back, and Ruddock took his place, and he's kind of been bombed out a bit. So needs to build back up his standing, and he can probably do that up at Borough with Neil Warnock. Millwall are very high on their goalkeeper, Bartosz Białkowski, who I'm very familiar with as an Ipswich fan. Obviously, that one terrible season at Ipswich under Paul Hurst and Paul Lambert. However, the now 5 years either side of that, he's been absolutely superb. I always say with Bart, if you set him up to succeed, he will most definitely succeed. Play him in a team that knows how to defend, that will give him some protection where he's not being asked to ping the ball out or play out from the back and take short goal kicks. If he's got a good frame of reference in front of him and a good solid defence that isn't massively split at any point, and without the anxiety of him having to be using his feet, he's a brilliant goalkeeper, and he's proved that over and again. Is he going to play at the top level? I'm not sure, but certainly he's now really a championship go-to goalkeeper. Norwich, well, Tim Krul was one of the only people that came out of last season at Norwich with any credit whatsoever. I know he got a lot of practice because they were defending and losing quite a lot of the time. But you need to look back at Krul's career now, and he's played a lot of games at the top level. He's played internationally, he's played in World Cups. And since he's been at Norwich, he's been excellent, really, because he was a stabilising factor, probably quite important, underrated part of their 18-19 season, as in probably not mentioned because there were so many Buendia, Aarons, Pookie, etc. people who were doing more flash things. But probably an important influence in a team that hasn't really ever defended that much at all under Daniel Farke, and he's been left as the last line. So, yeah, definite quality goalkeeper there, Krul, with McGovern as the backup. Another quality goalkeeper there is Bryce Samba, who really, I mean, we're questioning Forest's collapse and Lamouchi going out and now a new manager there. But up until the collapse, Samba was everyone's sort of, along with Raya, probably the 1 and 2 in the league last season. Good personality. Obviously, when Lamouchi was there, he was set up to succeed. And when I talk about people like Karanka and Rowett and Lamouchi, I'm talking about teams that knew how to defend, that were happy to not have the ball and played with a strong team shape, as opposed to like Daniel Farke's Norwich, where they're not set up to defend at all. They're set up to attack and score goals, basically. So, I think Sam would be interesting to see under Houghton, but I rate him highly, and certainly in terms of when we come to value goalkeepers, definitely a good one. Declan Rudd has been around a fair while now, came through Norwich, didn't he? And Alex Neil, who was at Norwich, then took him to Preston. Not kind of pushed to that top ranking of Championship goalkeepers yet, but there is still time. And certainly in some of the pictures I saw when he went back to Norwich in that game, made a couple of brilliant saves in there. So certainly a capable goalkeeper, Declan Rudd. QPR's a bit confusing, isn't it? Because Seny Dieng has just come in. But again, very much like Middlesbrough, I've seen Lumley and I've seen Kelly as well. I have seen Lumley make mistakes, I have to say. And Dieng, when I checked, I was expecting him to be 21 or 22. He's actually 25. So maybe an issue there that needs solving. Warburton's going to hope Dieng solves it. But maybe Rangers fans would admit they would prefer a more settled solution now. And just hope one of them stays in and plays well, I guess. Reading, well, they're very comfortable with Raphael, who had a good season last season. Again, Mark Bowen is a manager you'd want to work for as a defender. He sets teams up not to concede goals. Raphael's got a different challenge this season under Paunovic. We've seen the defenders are going to come back and split and may leave him open at times. But thus far, everyone in that Reading squad has risen to the challenge, and you would expect Raphael to be one of the better keepers in the league again this season. Rotherham, tricky one this. Johansson's coming on loan from Leicester. Blackman's come in on loan. Oh God, where's he on loan from? Chelsea? Still at Chelsea? I think he seems to have been on about 100 loans. And it is time now. Blackman takes the club, takes a move by storm, stays there and signs fully. So even though he's not young in footballers' terms, in goalkeepers' terms, he's still young, because goalkeepers can play until they're 37, 38 often, can't they? But I really think he needs to... it's difficult when they're on probably such nice contracts at the big clubs. But you wouldn't think there's going to be any chance of him getting in there. So he really needs to lay down roots now. Maybe this is it at Rotherham. Sheffield Wednesday, I've put Westwood up there because there seems to be this contract that they can't pay up. And then you've got Wildsmith and Dawson as well. And again, some sense with Dawson. Has he achieved the potential? We just don't seem to have had a young keeper, maybe apart from Dean Henderson, but he was on loan, obviously, wasn't he? Come through and take the Championship by storm. Correct me if I'm wrong about that in the comments. I'm probably missing somebody out. But yeah, maybe they want to get that position really shored up for the next few years. Chef Weds. Oh, God, Stoke. Well, Davis has taken over from Butland. Butland should probably be, on paper, the best goalkeeper in the division, but has just had a really terrible time, particularly last season and under Nathan Jones. Just mistake after mistake. If he can be rebuilt in terms of his confidence, there's a very highly valued player there who was in the England squad, but it's Davies in there at the moment who they got from Barnsley. So I just still get this sense that they're just waiting for it to turn for Butland, but is it ever? Does he need to be like Białkowski, who had to just get away and go to a new club to go and rebuild? We'll see. Swansea, well, Bender's a young reserve, and Woodman, Newcastle were happy to go out on loan again. I would be all over this, being very high on this if he was at Swansea permanently, but remember, he is a loan player. In terms of young, regular goalkeepers in the Championship, though he's up there, he can do the job for sure. Is there any chance they can sign him full-time? That would be a good move, I think, for Swansea and probably for Woodman, honestly. Watford, well, Daniel Bachmann saved, I think, 3 penalties in a shootout at Oxford. But the old hand there is Ben Foster, who I think is 37 and is still doing it. And if you want to look at pedigree, there's not many with better than Foster. Can he have another couple of seasons here in the Championship and at Watford at a decent level? You would think he probably can. Allsop and Yates at Wycombe. Don't know too much about Allsop, I have to say. I'm assuming this is his highest level playing regularly. He's probably going to get a lot of practice at Wycombe this season without being too unfair. So maybe he's not going to make the top of any of our criteria. So our lists, we were trying to judge on quality, potential and value. So get your thoughts in on this. When I'm thinking about quality, and I've probably missed Raphael from Reading out there, I'm thinking about Krull, I'm thinking about Białkowski, I'm thinking about Begovic, Foster. I should have probably put Raphael in there as well. Others will probably prove themselves. Maybe a little bit of bias in there. To have a real Championship hat on, I don't think you can beat Białkowski for 3 superb seasons under McCarthy at Ipswich and then one for Rowett last season at Millwall. I think when you look 4 seasons in the last 5 years, he's probably been one of the top 3 keepers in the league and others have come and gone. So I'll probably wave my Ipswich flag and give Bart the quality one there. In terms of potential, there's not that many young goalkeepers. Maybe keepers are just getting older. And we don't have a Richard Wright coming through at 17 like when I was Andy Marshall at Norwich. Remember him? Obviously came back to haunt Ipswich. Or your Dean Henderson, like I've mentioned. So I've probably got to go for Woodman in the main, even though he's on loan. But Walton, if he can nail down that place and it's not rotated under whoever the new Barnsley manager is, then we will see. Ridiculously, in terms of value, I do still have Butland in there, and that is with the caveat that he gets his career back on track, and he was once in the England squad. I'm just throwing him in there. I've put Raya, Bentley and Samba in there. I guess it's probably Raya with the Brentford tax and the idea that he was linked away with Villa and Arsenal in the summer. But the other two, you know, if bids were coming in for Championship keepers, they would be a good age and a good profile for people to sign. So those are my thoughts on the best Championship goalkeepers. If you want to respond to my criteria of potential, quality and value, please do so. But I would love to get your comments, particularly on this. Score your team's goalkeeper out of 10. Try and do this in a way, taking into account my hypothesis. Whether it's right or wrong, you may want to disagree, but I do often find fans of clubs really are either a little bit too high on their goalkeeper or a little bit too low, and they don't really factor in A, other goalkeepers, and B, everyone, including me, finds it hard to actually judge goalkeepers because we see such little action from them, and there are so few of them, if you take my point. So just bear that in mind. Score your goalkeeper out of 10. And also, if you had to, now play nicely. I'll repeat it. If you had to. So for those who are going to put in the comments, I wouldn't swap my goalkeeper for anyone. You're missing the purpose of the exercise. I'm trying to get you to praise a player from another team. And I know football fans find that very difficult, and especially where goalkeepers are concerned, they kind of gravitate and cling to their own. But if you had to swap with another club's goalkeeper, if your goalkeeper just had to finish for no reason whatsoever, just decided they were going to retire tomorrow, and you had to swap in another Championship club's goalkeeper, who would it be? Get into the spirit of the question. Please, please. I know someone will give me, I wouldn't swap my goalkeeper. I'm keeping my goal. No, that's not the point. I know you want to keep your goalkeeper. You've just given him a 10 for the other question. But you know what I mean. That is my thoughts on Championship goalkeepers. A little bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously. Be interested in your theories as well on what I say. Is it impossible for us football fans to actually be able to understand goalkeepers? Is it probably goalkeeping coaches and football managers and goalkeepers that are the only people, and maybe professional football defenders or defensive coaches, that actually understand? I think it's really hard for us to actually understand goalkeepers. And when I hear Rio Ferdinand interviewed about Edwin van der Sar and the information he was being given and the tactics van der Sar used in communication with his defenders, maybe we'll never know how good goalkeepers are because we can't hear them. And that's probably most important in that position than it is any other position on the pitch. So I'm interested in your thoughts on that. Please interact in the comments, like, subscribe. We're up to 12,600 subscribers. Brilliant. Join the Fantasy League T5Q BR0. Fantasy video has gone back up today in on that. Podcast, I'm being really lax on that. I need to go through and convert all those to MP3s, and you can listen down the podcast feed as well. As I say, 12,600 subscribers is brilliant. Not enough, however, for me to make a living at the moment. So amazon.co.uk/the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel is one revenue stream. Go buy something there and I get a little kickback. It's Amazon Prime Day as well, so use that. Make me and Jeff Bezos some money. I know who's going to be making more. Probably since he blinked, he's made more than my year's earnings. But there you go. Patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. $3 tier, $5 tier. More details over there. I won't go into it in grand detail. And sponsorship as well. You can become a fan sponsor. Or if you're a small business or a big business, you could sponsor the channel as well. Thank you everybody for watching. Really interested. Get involved. Quality, potential, value on Championship goalkeepers. Who do you have up at the top? How do you rank your team's goalkeeper out of 10? Which keeper would you swap with? And let's get a bit deeper if you want to. If you want to go over and above normal levels of football analysis, tell me, do fans understand goalkeepers? And do fans grossly overpraise and over-criticise their own team's goalkeepers? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Over and out.